Coming up next on The Voice of Alabama Politics, our special guest is Governor Robert Bentley. Also, the V-Team takes a look at a whistleblower case settled by the Supreme Court. And Chairman of the Republican Party, Bill Armistead, curls up at the feet of Mike Hubbard. Bow wow, little puppy, bow wow. All this and much, much more coming up next on The V. Welcome to The Voice of Alabama Politics, where we tackle the tough issues so you have the hard facts. I'm your host, Bill Britt, and as always, every Sunday morning, joined by the fabulous V-Team.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, lots of stuff going on around the state, lots of legal cases that we haven't been able to get to. One is this big case, a First Amendment case for a whistleblower, and the Supreme Court sided with the whistleblower this time. Tell us about that case.
They did. That was a case we talked about a couple of weeks ago when the decision was expected to come out, Lane versus Franks, where the former director of a program that got federal funds was fired after he testified against a former state legislator in her criminal case. And what the U.S. Supreme Court said is that if you are a governmental employee and you testify truthfully in a hearing or a trial, then you're entitled to the First Amendment protection, so you can't be fired from your job.
But they did, it was sort of a mixed bag, wasn't it?
It was, because he was fired from his job, and they didn't say he had to get his job back or get back pay or anything like that. So, you know, maybe on a forward-going basis it provides a little bit of protection, but this guy's kind of left holding the bag. Yeah,
wouldn't you think the state might want to do the right thing and reimburse him for all his lost wages?
No, they wouldn't.
Yeah. And the cost of a lawsuit. I mean, that's not cheap to take a case to the Supreme Court.
No, and the guy that fired him, though, the Supreme Court did find that he was not personally liable.
He was not personally liable because in order for him to be personally liable and to overcome what's called qualified immunity, you have to establish that the employer knew at the time that he was violating a clearly established right protected by law. And what the U.S. Supreme Court said is, look, we had to decide this issue for it to be decided by law, so that he's not entitled to damages.
Well, it was a great decision as far as journalism goes, because we always have to rely on whistleblowers and confidential sources. I mean, these are key. And you know that from this Pipkin case and the very things like that, or the Pipkin case.
Well, to change the subject very quickly here. Yeah. Maybe he needs legal representation. I'll throw you my card.
Yeah, exactly.
But what is important, though, not only for journalists, it's really for folks like the Attorney General's office. Right. And the Alabama's Attorney General did argue in favor of this decision because it's important for his officers and investigators to be able to have employees come to him and report on what was a fraud that was being committed in a governmental program.
Well, Sue Smet went to jail, right, over this whole thing.
I believe still is.
She did, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, it was a really serious situation.
Well, it's a landmark deal. Maybe this guy didn't get what he wanted, but it sets the record in the future for Alabama. So I think that's the great importance.
Well, we're showing up in the Supreme Court a lot lately.
Yeah, we've been busy.
Yeah, every one of I think this whole term, we've had decisions that have come out or that they've accepted. So either we're doing something very right or very wrong in Alabama.
Unfortunately, we pass a lot of laws in the legislature that we know are unconstitutional. They still pass them, and then we know that then we have to defend them in the courts, and they lose in the courts, and so that's just not really.
Well, it's not.
Public policy,
yeah, but that's people would rather us pass those laws and sue than not, and get sued than not pass them. I think that's
because you got to pander to the base. That's what that's about.
You know, that's what gets you elected. Something that doesn't get you elected is prisons. Nobody wants to get elected talking about prisons or going to prison.
No.
But
talk about prisons in Alabama.
I think there are a lot of folks who wish that we could do something about the overcrowding and the poor conditions in Alabama's prisons on the coming up.
Well, in case they might show up there in the near future.
Well, because Alabama was ranked recently as one of the top states for corruption in government. One of the things that I think is
expected to rise.
So I think it's important for not only for self-interest of public employees and public officials, but for the state as well. One of the American Legislative Council says that Alabama's prisons are at nearly 200% occupancy.
Right. Well, the Southern Poverty Law Center has sued the Department of Corrections over the handling of prisoners' health. They say they're not providing sufficient or adequate help. And that's a, as you said in the past, Barron, you don't check your humanity at the front door. You want to talk about that?
Well, no, I mean, to me, it's a moral crisis. A lot of these things are moral issues and moral crises. Someone made a mistake. They've either pled to that mistake or found by a jury of their peers to have made a mistake. You don't pull their health care away from them. You don't pull their humanity away from them. These are human beings who go, and they're either going to be reformed or they're going to die in prison, one or the other, but they're still human beings. And if we cease treating them like human beings, it says a lot about our culture. And I think what you're seeing in this movement is a lot of people saying, all right, let's get back to treating people like human beings.
Okay, having said that, okay, you think that about prisons, but what about the VA and the veterans that have served our country all over the United States of America? And look what is happening in these VA hospitals, not just Alabama, but everywhere. And I've talked to doctors and they say, oh yeah, they would go on rounds and they would come back the next day, people dead in the bed. And our veterans are not getting decent care in the state of Alabama or anywhere else.
Well, anyone that thinks that the veteran hospital is the place you want to go for good care has been deceived, but it should be.
It should be because of the service that these men and women have done for our state, our nation, and our country. And what we're saying is that prisoners should be treated better than the people that defended our country.
No, I'm not saying they should be treated better. I'm saying there should be a minimum level of humanity that everyone on earth is entitled to, regardless of whether they've made a mistake or not.
Well, speaking of winding up, though, in court again, if Alabama does not do something rather immediately about the prison situation, whether it is not taking care of the medical needs, because I think Alabama has either the lowest or one of the lowest rates for providing health care to the inmates, then we're looking at a federal takeover. And Alabamians hate the notion of the federal government coming in and telling us what to do, but it's inevitable if something doesn't happen.
Well, it'll bankrupt the state too. If the feds come in, they determine the budget. And our budget right now is $42 per day per inmate, and it's been that for years.
And the national average is something along the lines of $62. I think actually one statistic that I saw was that it's $26 per day per prisoner. So regardless of whether you're looking at 26 or 42, we're still $20 a prisoner under the national average.
Well, we got about 30 seconds. Bentley did a shakeup of his staff. What's the biggest surprise there, you think?
I don't know. I mean, it's normal. People serve 3-4 years and then they rotate out. I mean, it's not unusual. I think a lot of people are trying to make hay out of it, but I don't know that there's much hay to be made.
I think he's got some good folks that are coming in.
Yeah, he does. I thought Derek Trotter leaving the Senate pro tem was probably the most interesting of the moves, but the rest of it seems pretty normal.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing was when Seth Hammett came over to be the chief of staff. I mean, that was the great.
I think that's the biggest.
Yeah, that's a big story because he will have a tremendous impact.
All right, well, we got to get out of here. Coming up next, our special interview with Governor Robert Bentley. Be right back.
The V is sponsored by Spot On Strategies Group.
Welcome to Alabama's newest entertainment destination, Wind Creek, Wetumpka. The perfect escape for date night, a getaway with your friends, or a relaxing poolside cocktail. Whether it's a day trip to enjoy the best steak in Alabama or a romantic weekend, the finest Southern hospitality is just a short drive away. Wind Creek, Wetumpka. Find your winning moment.
I make sure to get your kids to school and home safe every day. I am AEA.
I make sure your child receives a healthy meal each day. I am AEA.
Thank you, AEA, for protecting our public schools and our futures. We are AEA.
Welcome back to the Voice of Alabama Politics. Our special guest today is Governor Robert Bentley. Governor Bentley, thank you for being on our show.
Thank you, Bill.
You are a very popular governor. One of your signature pieces has been to bring jobs to the state. Could you tell us a little bit about what you've done and what you hope to accomplish if you're granted a second term?
Well, one of the things that I saw when I came in, first of all, when I came in, we had no money. We had no incentive money. Basically, it was all gone as far as recruitment of jobs. But I also wanted to see a good organizational structure put in place to help us recruit industries, not only to recruit, but to retain the companies that we have and also to grow new companies. And so we put together the Accelerate Alabama plan, and that's our strategic plan that we've been using the last 3.5 years. And we've worked off of that. Now, I'm not an obsessive, compulsive individual, but I do believe that you work off of plans and you put those plans in place, and if you need to, you change them. But basically, you work off of a program, and that's what we've done. And we've been all over the world, and we've been to other states, we've been to other countries, and we've tried to bring new companies into Alabama, and we're making good progress. Now, it doesn't happen overnight. You know, the economy overall in the United States is not particularly good, but we're making progress in Alabama. We now have 50,000 more people working, more jobs right now than we had when we took office. We've announced over 55,000 good, high-paying jobs for the people of Alabama, and these haven't even come online yet. So we're making progress, but the most important thing is we have the organizational structure in place that we're going to reap the benefits of this over the next 4 or 5 years.
You have a leadership style, it appears, that brings the best people on board and then lets them do their job. All of your staff speak highly of you. Would be correct in assessing your leadership that way?
Well, you know, the governor cannot do everything. The government is too large. But what I expect is I expect good people to be put in place, and that's what I do. I try to choose very good people, and I let them do their job. And if you do that, they will do their job. If you don't micromanage them, now if they make a mistake, then we tell them that we love them, we're just going to miss them.
Right.
But we believe that we have good people in place, and they're doing a very good job. And I'm very proud of our cabinet, our staff. They do an outstanding job because they have the people at heart. And our job is to serve the people of this state. And that, if we're not doing that, we shouldn't be here.
One of the things that has been a great accomplishment for the state is the pre-K program. And I know you're very supportive of that. Education, job creation, financial security for a state all go hand in hand. Could you talk about the pre-K program a bit?
Our pre-K program, I'm very proud of that. In fact, it's in the governor's office. It's not in the Department of Education. And it's a grant program that we give to pre-K programs all across the state. And it's a grant, and we expect certain qualities in that program. And if they don't reach certain goals, then the grant's removed from them. So it's a grant program. You have to have a foundation in education. If a child does not have a good, strong foundation, down the road, it doesn't matter what the programs are, because if they're always trying to catch up, then they're not going to do well. And so the foundation is the most important part. And we have put $10 million a year extra every year into our voluntary pre-K program. And I say voluntary because this is up to the parents, but most parents want their children to go to the best in the country. And that's what we have.
You recently put forth a justice reinvestment initiative to look at our prison systems, to do some corrections, to see what we have to do to cure the ills that are in our prison system. Could you tell our viewers a little bit about why you did that and what you're hoping to accomplish?
Well, you know, most people don't get elected or reelected on talking about helping the prisoners of the state. Right. I mean, that's not an issue that people want to tackle, but it's a problem, and I'm a problem solver. And that's what I did all my years as doctor. You know, when I practiced medicine, I solved a problem every time I would go in and see a patient, and I do that every day here. I meet people all day long and solve problems. This is a real problem. When we're at 192% occupancy in this state for our prison systems, we've got to do something about that. Now, either we're going to have to quit putting people in prison for every little minor offense, or we're going to have to look at the way we sentence people, and we're going to do that. Or we're going to have to build more prisons, because it is a dangerous situation right now, and it is a problem that I inherited. I didn't have anything to do with it. I inherited this, but it's a problem that we're going to solve.
This has been a problem ongoing for the state, and certainly you're not the first governor to have to do something about it, and many haven't. You're choosing to get something done.
But I've done that on a lot of issues. I'm the first governor who has been able to accomplish something I'm very proud of down on the beach. We're going to build a convention center down there, and 6 governors have tried to do that. You know, I'm the first governor in a long time who's put $1 billion in our road and bridge program to repair all the roads and the bridges across this state. And so we see problems, we see issues, and we tackle those, and we come up with a solution, and we've been able to do that.
Well, aren't all these things, infrastructure, prison reform, education, they're all a part of building a healthy state and a healthy community. Looking at what might be your next 4 years, we've got about 2 minutes. What would you hope to accomplish in the next 4 years that you haven't tackled yet?
Well, I think that we need to certainly continue the #1 issue, and that's to try to create jobs for the people. This will always be our #1 issue, and it will be the entire time if I'm here 8 years. I want everyone who wants a job to have a job, and so we're going to tackle that issue. But there's so many issues out there. You know, we've got to finish this Medicaid reform that we have in place right now, and we want to make sure that that works well so that the people who do have it or need it will get quality care. We have issues dealing with health care that has been totally confused by this Affordable Care Act, and because of that we have not been able to do the things that I think that we can do in the state to help bring accessible and affordable health care to the people of Alabama, because we've been in this fight with the federal government, and which was obviously it's the worst piece of legislation that's ever been passed. And I still don't know how that's going to come out, but we've stood strong on that. We're going to continue to stand strong on that. But I do want people to be healthier in Alabama. So there are issues that we want to tackle that we're going to work on. And I just appreciate so much the people of Alabama allowing me the opportunity to be their doctor as their governor.
Well, we want to thank you for all that you do, and thank you for being our guest. Our guest today has been Governor Robert Bentley. You're watching The V. We'll be right back.
The V is sponsored by MediaWorks Communications Video Production Services for all your video production needs.
I teach. I touch the future. I am AEA.
I keep the school clean every day for your children. I am AEA.
Congratulations on your scholarship. I help children make choices for college and careers. I am AEA.
We are AEA.
Welcome Welcome to Alabama's newest entertainment destination, Wind Creek, Wetumpka. The perfect escape for date night, a getaway with your friends, or a relaxing poolside cocktail. Whether it's a day trip to enjoy the best steak in Alabama or a romantic weekend, the finest Southern hospitality is just a short drive away. Wind Creek, Wetumpka. Find your winning moment.
Yeah, take my puppy everywhere. La 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 la, I wouldn't care. But we would stay away from crowds. Besides that said, no dogs allowed all we.
Welcome back to the V, the voice of Alabama politics. Governor Bentley was a great interview. He's such a compassionate and caring guy. We talked a lot about how he's just been a good doctor for the state.
He has, and he's got a caring heart and mind, and he and his wife both, and he's just been a great governor, and you know, he has a great bedside manner as a doctor, and it shows throughout his daily dealings with people throughout the state of Alabama.
Very disarming, very earnest, sincere. He's a good guy.
Well, wish we had more politicians like him.
Yeah, I do too. One of the things that happened last week, or the week before actually, on Friday, is Barron, you dropped a bomb on the ALGOP
They dropped
summit
a
dinner.
bomb on somebody.
He did drop a large carpet bomb. And part of it was that you revealed that Bill Armistead, the chairman, asked you and Jack Campbell to funnel money from the Alabama Education Association and the Porch Creek Indians into the GOP through a third-party company. Is that correct?
That's exactly what happened. Jack and I went up there a couple of different days on the week of qualifying. One of the days we sat in Bill's office. A lot of people were coming and going. It was a very hectic time. But over the course of several hours, we had lots of discussions about recruiting people for the executive committee to run against current executive committee members in different counties. And the topic of AEA money came up. And Bill asked us to reach out to the AEA and see about getting AEA money run through a third company to the Republican Party. He said at that time he was having tremendous difficulty raising money. That was right before the winter dinner in February, and that they had not sold their allotment of tickets. They were having trouble with the full financing of that and wanted some help along those lines.
Now, Jack, didn't he also want the Porch Creek to help with that money as well?
I think Bill would have taken whorehouse money if he thought he could get it filtered where nobody would. He was worried about what the steering committee and the executive committee would think, because AEA had bought a $5,000 table at a dinner earlier, which the steering committee made Bill refund to AEA, and then he asked us to try to get the AEA not to deposit the check, but the message we got back was too late.
But so not only did he want to keep the money that he was told not to keep and hide it.
Well, he was being undercut by Bob Riley and Mike Hubbard and Del Marsh, basically. In his defense of trying to find other funding sources, they were out there raising money, and it was sucking money out of the party coffers.
Well,
and he had to go to other sources. However, when he lied about it, that's where we have a problem about it.
Well, the whole thing is very unsettling. I mean, the bottom line is, you know, we've got this big tent. We've got this.
No, it's not a big tent.
Well,
it's where you're wrong.
Well, you're right. They're trying to make it become an exclusive tent, but you know, I mean.
Yeah, there was even a resolution to try to make anyone running for the state committee first be vetted by the county committee, to creating more exclusivity, the more of the country club scotch drinking image that we've tried to shed for years since Reagan.
I must say, you know, my mother, she's in her 70s. She's been on the committee since 1964 when they were begging people to get on the committee, and they met in a phone booth. So now we've had this explosion of growth. We got a lot of Republicans. They need to learn how to deal with it, and they need to have the right kind of leadership.
But Armistead is not the way to do it, because he's weak, he's malleable, and he's not honest. He lied.
Well, unfortunately, I hate to say that, but I'm afraid I have to agree with you now.
I want to get back to this. It's very important. The other part is that he asked John Rice to help him recruit candidates in areas where he had unfriendlies. Is that your recollection?
It was Madison County, Jefferson County, Lowndes County, Dale County, Houston County, Coffee County. These were areas, Monroe County, where he saw people on the executive committee that were hostile to his positions. And he wanted them removed, or he wanted someone to run against them. And so when Rice came by that day, he asked John, do you know people in these counties? Right. John, that's what he does. He recruits people. He picked up the phone. He walks outside. Jack and I were calling people. We were calling people. You could go back and look at all the people who paid cash on that day and whose applications are all written in the same handwriting. That's exactly who was recruited that day.
It's not unusual for a state chairman to want to have people on the state executive committee friendly to them. I mean,
yeah, but to turn around and deny
that, lie about it, just say, no, that didn't happen.
He made it, he said that John Rice was trying to recruit people. He had nothing to do with it, from what I understand.
No, John actually was a little, I'm telling you, John at first, he picked up the phone and did it because Bill was asking.
Bill had a list in front of him saying, this is where I need help, and this is where I need help.
Yeah, maybe we need to take some lie detector tests up at the Alabama GOP headquarters.
Well, it's just a shame that the party's come so far, and we already had one, what I think was a corrupt chairman, and Mike Hubbard, and now it looks like Bill Armistead, who I used to care about.
Well, it sounds like he's gone. You know, he used to be his independent person. As Jack mentioned, he had a hard time raising money because of the former leadership, the former governor, and the speaker. But now it seems like he's gone into the fold with them.
They've tried to beat him twice, first with Jay Love and then with Matt Friday, that the Hubbard crowd recruited to run against him.
I know, I supported him both times.
He's in their camp.
I'll say this, that night he was asking us to do these things, to help get him some money, to help run these people on the executive committee. I felt bad for Bill. I really did.
Yeah, we did.
Because Bill's, reputation was on the line. A lot of us stuck up for Bill when they were trying to beat him the last couple of times.
Yeah.
And he was there saying, look, we can't sell our allotment of tickets. They're hosting API dinners the same night as our dinner. They're undercutting us, directing money to 2014 PAC and other places away from the party. It's making me look bad as a chairman. Can you help me out? And we did, because I liked Bill.
But you don't turn on people that have helped you out, and that's what he did.
Absolutely.
One of the things that he also did at the summer dinner was he stood up and by name named candidates who just beat incumbent Republicans, and he said of those 5 individuals that they were supported by people that didn't normally support Republicans, indicating that they weren't real Republicans. And then he had the audacity to say that Speaker Mike Hubbard was working with them to turn them around.
Well, good luck on that, Mike. Very good luck.
What's Mike going to teach them? How to use his office, their office for personal gain? I mean, really?
Well, that is absurd that a state chairman would take a position when there were contested primaries.
Absolutely.
Neutrality is part of the bylaws, and he clearly was working against fellow Republicans to protect incumbents because he knows the vindictiveness of Mike Hubbard, who, if you ever oppose him, challenge him, or disagree with him, won't just try to make you go away. He'll try to ruin your business and rub you out. I'm telling you.
Yeah, I know, very firsthand.
This is a vindictive crowd running the state legislature.
Well, we got about 30 seconds.
We need some true leadership to step up for the Alabama GOP.
Well, we need some honest leadership.
Was there anything good that came out of this whole deal?
Yeah, you know what good came out of the state meeting? They voted down that ridiculous chairman's proof bylaw they were trying to get. They were trying to get a bylaw that the chairman basically had to sign off on everybody running for the executive committee. That can be abused.
All right, well, we got to hold it there. You've been watching The V, the voice of Alabama politics. You can catch us every Sunday morning on ABC. Check your local listings. Thanks for watching.